Drew here, and I just watched the first 3 episodes of The Boys spinoff, Gen Z. Oh, no, it's Gen V. I knew I was going to do that at some point. But the show is essentially like, okay, what is it like for the superheroes of The Boys when they go to college? So to me, this is an odd duck of a show because I'm not sure entirely who it's for. Like, I know a good portion of the audience of The Boys will just tune in and say, there's gore, there's extreme gross out content, there's a fair degree of sophisticated political satire going on and other satire going on. I'm in. But to me, what is weird is genre-wise, this is kind of like The Boys for the Wednesday crowd, and I'm not sure if that really works. To me, I kind of feel like I would say it doesn't. Obviously, this is highly subjective, and for some people it's going to work, and others it's not. And it doesn't really work for me. And the main reason it doesn't work for me is because of the very reason that The Boys works for most people. In The Boys, you have a show where it's an action comedy merged with a political satire. And I feel like those two genres go together really, really well because you can kind of stay in the same lane. You're never taking anything that seriously. The extreme content kind of fits. With this show, I think it kind of has a problem when you have angsty, I don't know if they're teenagers, but I'm going to refer to them as teens. You have angsty teen characters that are dealing with real life struggles. The show very pointedly associates their trauma with their powers. For instance, there's one girl who cuts and her powers are associated with blood. That's the main character, Marie. Probably the best performance in the show by Jazz Sinclair. I think she does a nice job of balancing strength and determination and emotional vulnerability. I think that the character could easily have been an annoying girl power character, but she makes her a lot more human than that and still makes her strong and compelling. But you've got these characters, you've got their trauma associated with their powers. There's another character who's got an eating, she's purging so that she can shrink. That's the character of Cricket. So again, you've got that going on. So it's kind of not terribly funny because you're supposed to be getting invested in these earnest, real struggles of these characters and feeling sympathy for them. And then the show will turn around and have someone's head explode, or they'll have the shrinking person, do something really sexually graphic. And it just doesn't work tonally because you're shifting between really, really earnest stuff that would feel at home in like a show like Euphoria, and then you're turning around and having, the typical gross out, disturbing content of The Boys. And to me, those two don't really mesh all that well. If you come into this from The Boys, I have to question like what it's gonna do for you. Like, obviously you're getting all the things I just mentioned. It doesn't skimp out on the things that The Boys went crazy with. It's definitely a 10 on all the content, just like The Boys was. I kind of wondered if they wouldn't dial it back, seeing as this seemed like potentially it would appeal to a different demo than The Boys does. Nope. No, it's fully, it goes there in every sense that it could. And if that appeals to you, that will appeal to you here. But I have to ask, if you watch The Boys for that content, what is the appeal of like all the teen issues going on here? Like, is that really something that you're going to be interested in? To me, it ends up feeling really meh a lot of the time. Part of what made The Boys work for me was the characters. I'm not really into the gross content. I kind of tolerate that to get to the satire and to the interesting plot developments. But in The Boys, I feel like you have like 80% comedy satire, 20% interpersonal drama, because you have to have a little interpersonal drama to pad any show. This show to me feels more like 60 to 70% interpersonal drama and like 30 to 40% comedy and satire. And I feel like that balance is not going to appeal to you if you were a fan of The Boys. And that said, I can't imagine you not watching The Boys before coming to this. Something that was really striking to me was that the funniest moments in the first 3 episodes were the moments that included characters from The Boys. Like there was a scene with A-Train when they kind of make an analogous comparison between superheroes finding out where they're going to go and like the NFL draft. And, that was a great humorous scene. But part of the reason that it worked is that A-Train is such a larger than life, ridiculous and funny character. Like, yes, they loop in some humanity for him, but most of the time he's a little bit of a joke. There's a similar sequence where they bring in the Deep, and I felt like those 2 sequences were some of the funnier moments in the show. And I felt like the satire is not working as well when you're having to deal with teen angst on top of it. I think those 2, again, it kind of just doesn't go together tonally. Overall, I felt like, this is a competently written show. It's not, the characters' motivations are made clear. The main character, Marie, she has a tragic backstory, kind of reminiscent of Carrie a little bit, and that there's period stuff, and it's again associating her powers with her trauma and showing how damaging this has been to her. I think they did a nice job of not having her just wear her pain on her sleeve, though. Like, it goes deeper than that. She actually has like a mellow personality. She has a face that she shows the world that's not just damaged. To me, the moments with the characters from The Boys were more interesting, and I think that's in part because there's just no one that charismatic in this show. Part of the reason The Boys work so well is because of the Homelander character, but I also really like Kimiko and Billy Butcher, and even, Huey and some of the other characters. Here, there's just nobody that charismatic yet. I feel like I was hoping that Golden Boy was going to be somewhat like Soldier Boy or Homelander, where he's kind of a larger than life comedic villain, and they don't go that direction with him. Without getting into spoilers, it's a very different character than I was expecting, and that's kind of a good thing in that they're not just rehashing The Boys, but it's kind of a bad thing in that it kind of leaves this show without anything that entertaining going on. Like, I just don't find myself that interested in any of the characters. Like, they're competently written, like I said. You get their backstories, you get their motivations. There's scenes where they unpack their drama and where they, form bonds with other characters and relational stuff. But I think there's too much of that stuff for this type of show. I think that there's too much interpersonal drama for viewers of The Boys. And I can't imagine someone coming into this without having watched The Boys. I don't know what they would possibly get out of it. I feel like it would be not for the Wednesday crowd, as I said. And on that note, to me, like, personally, would I watch multiple seasons of this? I don't think it's a bad spin-off show. I would give it like a 6.5 at this point, with potential for it to get better. But at this point, because I don't care that much about Marie or any of the characters or the mysteries that they're trying to unpack, I have to question if anyone really cares that much. Like, Vought is doing something sinister. Okay, I'm sure we can all guess the gist of what that will be and how the main character's backstory might play into that. Is anyone that interested, that invested in it? It's not exactly Lost or Battlestar Galactica here. So I can't imagine that anyone is that invested. They're doing just the bare minimum to pull the audience along. But to me, it just comes across as kind of meh. And I have this feeling that this is the type of show where I'll watch the whole first season, I'll kind of enjoy it, there'll be some good moments, there'll be some ups and downs, there'll be some episodes where I'm just kind of like zoned out, and then the finale will happen. It'll be relatively decent. It might set up a couple interesting things, nothing too game-changing, and then you know, a year and a half will pass, the second season will start releasing promos, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that show. I probably am gonna pass on watching a second season. I can't imagine watching seasons 2 through 6 or however many seasons this gets, since I imagine it will be popular because The Boys is so popular. But that's just where I'm coming from. Having just watched the first 3 episodes, I don't see myself being in this for the long haul. But let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know if you're coming to this from The Boys, if it worked for you, if you liked The Boys, if the teen angle works for you, or if you're kind of put off by all the interpersonal drama. Tell me why I'm getting everything wrong. I love to hear why I'm wrong about stuff. No, honestly, I do. But let me know your thoughts, as I said, in the comments. Oh, as always, thank you for watching this review, and please consider subscribing to the channel. Bye-bye.